Okay, so as usual, I start with lines. I always do middle lines when I need it. Now I'm adding the top and the bottom for the feet and the head. Center. I usually eyeball a square, cube, I would say, for the face at like 1.5 inches maybe from the top, and then maybe a 1/4 inch for the feet. And usually I'm pretty good to go with this. That's basically the line that I need. For this one, I'm adding a square of about, again, 1.5 inches. That will be for the backpack. And I'm adding lines on the side for the depth of the backpack. Still using the same technique as usual. I put my finger, I press them against the wood, and then with that I can use the same distance basically from each side. And then I'm good to go. That's the line for now. I will add a little bit more later, but I actually start carving after that. So as the title said, this is how I usually think when I carve. I eyeball and freestyle a lot of things, and I usually start exactly the same way every time. I do some V-cuts on the corners on important points. So for the head in the front, and then there it's for the backpack in the back. And then I remove the corners just for the carving to be a little bit better to hold. Just adding some more V-cuts here, then moving the corner, looking around, removing more corners. Some stop cut for the feet on both edges. Removing more corners. Okay. So that was the basic cuts that I do on all my carvings. Usually I join the back of the head with the front on the side. This one is a little bit more tricky because of the backpack. And like I said, it's freestyling. I haven't done a carving before doing this one, so I'm trying my best to figure out things as I go. So this is what I do now for the head to look on the side. On approximately the same distance on both sides of the center line, I do another line, and then I link them at the top. Now I just added center line on the side, and then I will do the same thing to basically create a cross that is angled. Then I will just grossly do a circle for the head. And then I will remove wood in the front to create the head shape a little bit. At this stage it's really just removing wood, doing a lot of rough out. I've asked, I've had some people ask me patterns before, and it's pretty hard for me because I don't work with patterns. I have an idea in my head, and then I just carve and try my best. Like this one, I knew that I wanted to make a little vätte with a backpack, and that was pretty much the idea I had. So I just went along with it and tried my best. I'm pretty happy with the result. So right there, I was just shaping the head a little bit with the backpack in mind. Now I'm joining the two. Once again, I will do the same thing on the other side. Stop cut, and then remove the wood in an angle. Create a little bit of depth with the head and the backpack, then joining the sides. Now I will round the face in connection with the line that I created not so long ago, to have the head looking a little bit on the side. Because of the backpack, I have to rotate the figurine quite a lot, because my blade obviously cannot go there. I'm still trying to create a cylinder here. And I'm creating a little pointy end following the line that I've added before. So it will look like the face is looking in that direction. Removing a bit more wood in the back to make sure that the head is not through the backpack. I will remove more later also. So every time I look around the head, take my time, look at the top if it's symmetrical, look at if one side is bigger than the other. See if it's good enough. And then when I feel it's good enough, like here, then I attack the body. So it's just removing a bit more wood. Moving more wood on the back for the backpack. Creating more shape for the little guy. Here I stop twice because I knew that I had to put too much strength to cut. So I just decided to do a stop cut instead and cut less wood, less than just that way. So you will see me look around here because I'm, like I said before, I'm freestyling, so I'm not exactly sure where I'm going. I'm not looking at the carving I've done before. Everything is just coming out of my head. And like I said, I knew that I wanted to make little vätte with a backpack, but that's pretty much it. I know that he will have his hand in his pocket also. And that's pretty much what I know. And then I go with the flow after that. So from here, just looking around, figure out what to do. Then I will trace a couple of lines for the arms. Once again, eyeballing pretty much everything. Trying to be symmetrical somehow. Realizing that one side was a bit lower than the other, but it's not too bad. Okay. There we go. So from here, I will do stop cuts on the top side of the arm. I go deep 2 times. Why 2? Because I felt like it. I kind of felt that it would be enough depth for it. And then here I take my time for the few cuts, just to make sure that I don't go too far and break the carving. Because I was against the grain. And now I just remove wood. Be mindful of the tip of your knife. You don't want to carve too deep in the arm, because that creates nasty cuts. Here I stopped because I was going too far against the grain. I would have broke the arm. I just felt it with my knife. Same thing on the other side. You see here, I was not careful enough. It was not too bad. I probably removed like a millimeter max, half a millim, something like this. It's always a bit tricky, depending on if you're left-handed or right-handed. There's one side that is a bit easier to carve. So then after a few cuts, I look if clean it up a bit. So I will look if both sides are pretty much the same depth, and it was not the case, so I will remove a little bit more wood. Okay, so we have the arm now. From here I'm just moving wood from the front to create the shape of the hand in the pockets. Here moving the wood and the top of the front to kind of bring back the shoulder and the armpit inside. Removing wood from the chest. Fixing the face a little bit. Looking around. Flattening the chest because it was way too square. And I look around and I'm like asking myself what to do next. Then I go under the arm, trying to figure out how to put my blade, which happened all the time. The backpack is really in the way for this carving, but that's fine, we can work around it. So creating some angle in the back for the feet and the legs. It was a bit too square. I look below to see if the shape is symmetrical. Pretty much. Okay, starting to take shape. Same thing on the other side. I rotated the figurine quite a lot here. I wanted you to see pretty much how we're doing at this point. Okay. Then at this point I'm always afraid, because I need to do the hand in the pocket. I'm like, you know, I could maybe do something else. I don't want to mess up the carving, but I'll still do it. The line is never like I want it to be in the end. So right there I prefer to have a bigger angle. Bringing back the hands inside again, a bit more, and adjusting the cut for the hands in the pocket. Then pretty much the same angle on the other side. I will do the same thing. There we go. Okay. Once again, always figuring out what to do. There's so many possibilities. Looking around if everything is symmetrical. Then I go play it safe and I just pop the backpack out of the arm on both sides. With a stop cut and a cut in an angle from the arm. Fixing it a little bit. Okay, that's good enough. And back on the face, flattening it a little bit. I'm bringing back the shoulder inside. Just give a little more angle. Removing the ugly wood, and then here I was against the grain, so you see I messed up a little bit, but that's okay, we can always fix that. Here I carve in an angle on the arm to remove the squariness of the arms. We don't like that in flat plane, and I try to do it with one single cut in an angle to the arm, to the elbow, and same thing on the other side. So as you can see, we have the angle now. And once again, wondering what to do next. So that one arm was a bit too not deep enough anymore. So I went in and adjusted a little bit compared to the other one. Alright, moving chunks of wood in the front, because that was a bit too much. Big cuts, big, flat, straight cuts. That's what we like in flat plane. Here I'm creating more depth in the back. To also make the backpack pop out a little bit. From here I pop the corners and the feet. I cut in the middle line from before. Remove in an angle. Alright. So we have the feet now. And here I carve inside, because I don't want the leg to pop out of the body. I want them to be a little bit inside lower. If you understand what I mean. Looking if the shape is symmetrical. The feet are a bit too big for my taste, so I will remove a bit more wood from there at some point. Usually you can always remove more wood, you know, deeper cuts. It's always better for any sort of carving. So here finally I will separate the body, so basically the chest from the pants, with a couple of V-cuts. And then I felt that it was a bit too bubbly, so I'm removing a little bit of wood, and then I will flatten that out, like we like in flat plane. One single cut from the bottom of the shirt all the way to the top. Okay, from here I want to attack the ears, I think. But I realized that the face was not exactly the shape that I wanted. You see the pointy face now, it helps. I went a little bit too far from the line that I had before, which is okay, but there's one side that is a little bit bigger because of that, as you can see. Okay, so I draw a line perpendicular from the top line that I've done to create the top of the ears. And I do a little stop cut and I remove really just a little bit of wood every time, from the top, from the bottom. You don't want to remove too much, you don't want to go too far and break the ears, because that's a little piece. when you're deep enough for maybe 1 or 2 mil. I go on the other side. Okay. I always look to see if the sides are pretty much the same. And now I do another line, maybe a couple of mil below, half a centimeter, 1/4 of an inch, something like this. And I will do the same thing, but from the opposite side, obviously. So that will create this weird shape, but that will turn into an ear after, you will see. Obviously the bag is in the way now, so you have to rotate as you see fit, depending on the size of your blade. I got a comment yesterday, I think, on one of my older videos saying that the person was surprised how much detail I could do with a big blade, but you know, I guess one gets used to what they use. It's fairly long, but you have to, you know, don't fight against the wood and realize where you can go and where you can't go with your knife. It comes with practice. There's a lot of time that I try to carve something and realize that my blade would never fit there. Okay, so now I'm putting my fingers on both sides, and just to see if the head, once again, is symmetrical. Again and again and again. So like I said, there's one side that's a bit bigger, so I will remove wood from this side to change the point a little bit. Seems good enough. Now I will round the top of the head. Finally. This guy doesn't have any hair, so that will be a bald little creature. Once again, felt that one side was bigger than the other, removed a bit more wood, and then I realized that I probably had to stop at this point, so here I was basically wondering where to put the nose, which is pretty much in the middle. If I would do that again, I would probably put it in a different place. The ears would be different. So I'm creating the shelf on top of the eyes, as you might have seen before. I said shelf on top of the eyes. Shelf on top of the nose. Just looking at the ears. Once again, so they're symmetrical, removing more wood from the top. Because now I have the shelves, so I wanted to remove a little bit of the forehead, then creating more depth. Now I will do 2 stop cuts, one of each side of the nose, and I will remove a little bit of wood. Not too much, because I don't want to remove the cheeks. Little cut, you really have to be careful here. Don't want to break the nose. Putting the nose in an angle, then I'm popping the corners. Don't hesitate to stop the video if you feel like it's going a bit too fast. You know, I'm freestyling, so it's I'm going with the flow. Here was really taking my time since I was cutting towards myself and it was really a little cut. So because of removing the side of the nose, I lost a bit of the cheeks. So I'm cutting again a bit deeper on the eyes. Okay, so I'm creating big cheeks marks. I don't know how you call those when you smile, because these little creatures have big mouth. Here I'm wondering where I would put the mouth, but as I draw the line, I realize that the cuts are not long enough, so I'm just going back. You can always go back, you know, it's your carving, adjust it. Okay. So there I do a little stop cut, not too deep, following the line, all the way, from one cheek to the other. And then I do tiny, 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 tiny cut under the line that I've done to create the lip. Okay. So now I want to create the ears, so I will cut in an angle behind it, almost in the middle. Now I pop half of it. So now the ears will appear. I'm cleaning the back. Be careful with that. It's a really small detail, so don't want to break it. Same thing on the other side. Then I realized I was cutting against the grain and I would remove way too much wood. Then it created this really ugly cuts right here, but as usual, nothing unfixable. Okay. The ears was a bit too much in the front of the face, so I'm just removing a little bit on each side. And I'm looking around to see if it's good enough. I see that the back of the head is still way too much in the backpack, so I will remove more wood on each side. Alright, rounding the head a bit more. Okay. So cutting towards myself, because for whatever reason it's how it feels better. I would just remove the end grain. And removing the line, pencil line while doing so. Okay, so the head is pretty much there. Once again, just looking around, what could I do next? Then I realized that once again the feet were way too big. So I'm cutting them in an angle on each side, removing a little bit more wood from the feet and also from the legs. And there the classic angle cut in the back, so like the pants are a little bit on the heel. And flattening the whole thing, because that's what we like in flat plane, as I repeat myself. And then realized we should have had a little butt for that guy, right? So I do a V-cut where my blade can fit under the bag. Be always mindful of your blade and where it can go and can't. And then I will pop all the wood so the butt will create just take place. A stop cut along the line to separate the legs behind a little bit. Okay. There we go. And then we'll remove a little triangle to really emphasize the little butt of our guy. Okay. We're getting there. Now the feet were annoying again, so I'm rounding them from the bottom. And then I'm rounding them in the middle also, in an angle. Be careful when you do that, because you're against the grain, so you don't want to break your piece or go too far and slip and cut yourself. And once again, flattening the legs. We want it flat. We want it flat. I have to finish by rotating the blades, so the one cut is going with the feet. So I've done a little stop cut in the middle here, and then in an angle I come in and deepen the front a little bit to once again separate the leg, while like we've done in the back. Then here, being mindful of my blade where it can fit again, I will just create a little crotch for a little guy with some V-cuts. Separating the face from the shirt a little bit. And here I bring back the armpit with the body again, starting from the bottom of the shirt with one cut. Fixing the feet a little bit. The cuts were not that great. And I'm removing a lot of wood on each side of the feet because, like I said before, they were a bit too big. Rounding the corners. Okay. I realized that the head was a bit crooked and was going through the backpack, so I'm just fixing it a little bit. Always adjusting. So like I said before, I kind of had an idea and then I went along with it. So, we're almost there. Once again, flattening the front to have really beautiful, clean one cut. Now I think I'm wondering if I want to attack the backpack, but then I realized that I should probably make a little triangle cut in the ears. Really, really tiny cut. Use the tip of your knife to go inside and remove the wood. And then the ears were a bit too square for me, so I'm just removing a little bit of the wood in an angle at the bottom. I think we're ready for the backpack, aren't we? I really love procrastinating when I carve. Come on, Jeff. Go to the backpack, right? I think it's time. So putting the line back just to make sure that I see it. So I wanted to have some sort of like, I don't know, some sleeping bag on top of it. So I will just cut the corners to separate the backpack and whatever sleeping bag at the top. So we don't do sphere to have round shape in the flat plane, right? We just need just a few cut, and we consider that to be circular or round at least. So that's what I've done. Couple of V cuts in the corner, removing the sides in an angle, same thing, and then popping the top in an angle, and here we go. Removing that in an angle. Then we have something round, kinda. And here I want to separate the sleeping bag from the bag itself. Okay. Removing the ugly bandsaw texture. And then from like at this point I'm like, how does the backpack look like? I could have just prepared myself or went on my phone and Googled what the backpack looked like, but well, like I said, I freestyle everything, so I told myself, well, that's kind of what the backpack could look like. Really flat backpack. It's really empty. Poor guy. Didn't brought anything. So just cutting all the edges and making a rounded shape instead of a flat corner. Okay. Separating the sleeping mat from the backpack again a bit more. And here I'm like, damn. My blade is really having a hard time going in that little spot, so just more and more cuts. Okay, so the backpack is getting shape, but then I need to kind of make it look like a backpack somehow. So here I'm doing V-cuts on the arm to create the straps for the backpack, like it's, you know, sitting on the shoulders. So I'm separating them on the bottom, Now I'm trying to figure out where to do the cut, so you will really see the strap. So one V cut there, and then you do another one that goes straight under the armpit, like this. There we go. We have a strap now. So the same thing on the other side. Just literally, you just need two V cut, and there we go. You're done. Well, 4 in total, and you have the straps. A little fixing of the arm. A little bit more wood, so the backpack will show it more. And then I was trying to figure out what to do with the backpack again, so I was like, well, the sleeping bag could be stuck with straps also, right? So I'm doing 4 sets of V-cut to kind of create this little strap going around. Be careful, that's pretty easy to break, because these are little cuts. Okay, so we have 2 straps, but then it's a bit wonky to have the backpack kind of like the same depth. So I would remove a little bit, so the straps will be, at least the sleeping bag will be deeper than the strap. And then in the middle, obviously my blade can't fit, so you have to do an angle in one side and then flip around and do another angle, and then you're fine. So now the straps are already higher in depth. And then I do little V-cut again, following the same line. There we go. And then perpendicular. There we go. We got a backpack. And then I'm just moving, because my blade is so long that I was cutting a bit too far. But yeah, there you go. Backpack done. Full freestyle. That looks like a backpack to me. And now I'm really wondering what to do next. Just fixing it a little bit, adding more butt. Because it's pretty much done at this point. I don't have a lot left to do. A bit more detail in the feet, a couple of V-cuts here and there to create some texture in the fabric, like so. And then another V-cut, fixing the thing I've done earlier. Indeed. More V-cuts in the elbow, so it will be a bit deeper, more detail. Sometimes I do 2 or 3, I just felt like doing just 1 right now. It's really up to you. Just showing the result, thinking about what to do next. Once again, then I'm like, oh, if I don't know what to do, I'll just flatten the flat plane. And I felt that the hand was, both of them, they were not really fitting a little bit, so I'm just cutting the corners so they feel a little bit more in the pockets of the pants. Okay. Just a little bit of fixing here and there. And then it will be the eyes. Once again, I'm just procrastinating because I don't want to go there, because if I mess up the eyes, I just kind of, you know, I will have to remove so much wood to fix them. But come on, Jeff, you have to do a little bit of faith sometime, man. Go for it, right? And then I was like, oh wait, I'll make some sort of jacket. So I just fixed up, cut in the middle, and then remove on the side. And I will paint some buttons. Don't want to carve these because they're too small. And I realized the cut was a bit too big, so I will just do one big cut to tighten the coat a little bit. There we go. Okay, you can do the eyes now. Come on, Jeff. You can do it. You can see how often I just wait and look around, see what's up. Like we all do this, right? Trying to see if everything is great, if there's something wonky like there. I felt that the head was going too deep in the backpack. But then here I realized I was cutting against the grain. So I had to fix it somehow. There we go. So then I will draw these little lines. Trying to be as symmetrical as I can. Make the happiest face ever. And positioning myself to make good stop cuts. And I didn't know exactly how to put my hands. Sometimes it just doesn't work. There we go. One stop cut going around the line. And a stop cut on the other side. This one was a bit easier. And from where I point the tip of my knife from the middle to one of the corner. I do that 2-3 times maybe. Create some depth. On the other side. And then the other eye, following the motion. And I go really lightly to just remove the pencil line. I could probably eyeball the eyes, no pun intended, but for this I prefer to have a little line to follow, because non-symmetrical-ish eyes are not super good. So yes, that was pretty much the process. I hope you enjoyed, and that you will be able to carve this little guy. And we will see each other in the next video. Bye bye.